Alrighty, guys, this is another episode of Journey to the Pit. We're just waiting for our guest to come on, Mario Maldonado, based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we're just waiting for him to come on in. Just give me 1 second. All right, in the meantime, while we're waiting for him to come on in, Mario, I see you in there. We're just waiting for you to come on, get pulled into this live stream. You should be coming on in. You did get an invite, so just go ahead and accept it so you can come up on the screen. But in the meantime, man, we just want to let everyone know our disclaimers. All the information that you will watch and hear on this video is going to be for educational, historical, and entertainment purposes. None of this information is intended for any illegal purposes. Again, we are going to be having Mario Maldonado, based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's one of the young heavy hitters, and I'm just trying to get him into this video right now. So, like I said, just give us a few seconds. This is Facebook, and it doesn't work the speed that we need. Hey, brother, how you doing?
What's going on, Jim?
All right, I'm gonna get you on in here, get you on the big screen. So listen, I just started the video off just giving a disclaimer. If you just joined it in, just like to say one more time, all information that you hear and watch on this video is going to be only for educational, historical, and entertainment purposes. None of this information that will be spoken about on this show today will be intended for any legal purposes. So Mario, I'll just introduce you one more time. This is Mario Maldonado, one of the heavy hitters based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's a pleasure to have you today. The Wi-Fi is looking good. So let's kind of get started, man. I see a lot of people logging on already. So just to get started, Mario, let's go ahead and just introduce yourself, man, and give us just a little history about yourself.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you having me on here, man. It's a real honor, first and foremost. I'm born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and, third generation cocker. It's an honor and a privilege to be involved, with the sport.
Okay, so tell me, Mario, so you say you're third generation cocker, huh? Was you always based in New Mexico?
Born and raised, sir. Born and raised.
Born and raised. So tell me something. How old or when was your first time remembering your dealings with these birds?
Man, I remember.
Looks like the connection is.
Get off of that.
Okay, Mario, if you can you just repeat that 1 second? It seems like the video paused a little bit.
Sorry about that.
No problem. We dealing with Wi-Fi, so it's not going to be consistent all the way through. But let's just go ahead. If you can just repeat that we lost you for a minute there. So what was your first experience dealing with the birds?
Yeah, I can remember, like I said, I was about 8, 9 years old, first time putting up a show with my dad. I just remember the best part was peeling eggs, peeling the boiled eggs, and ever since then, I just been a hook since.
So tell me something, Mario. What were you peeling boiled eggs for?
Just getting them ready,
Getting them ready, huh? So tell me, Mario, what was your first bloodline of birds that you remember as a young boy?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Jim?
Yeah, I said, what was your first bloodline of birds that you remember? First bloodline of birds when you were a young boy?
I can remember it was my great uncle who got us started in the sport. He purchased some eggs from Hugh Norman, some law grays, and some
Okay.
Lacey Roundheads from Hugh Norman.
Okay. Okay, and that was the first. So it's basically your third generation. It was your great uncle who got y'all into the sport, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A couple of great uncles. You know, they're monumental to me in everything I do. You know what I mean? Everything I do in this, I keep them close at heart.
Okay, I hear that. I hear that. So tell me, Mario, do you still deal with that same line, or have you made a transition, through your time in the sport?
I've definitely made some upgrades from then. Uh, they were really good, and I'm not taking nothing from them. But you know, as the sport evolves, you know what I mean. These amazing animals are just well, we evolved to you would do everything off of the gator bloodline. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's our main line, and like I tell Jason Daniels, you know what I mean? He's ruined me because I really don't care to see anything else, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah, Jason definitely has some he's breeding some monsters out there. He's breeding some good birds. So tell me this. Um, do you focus, what do you think is your strong point in the sport? Do you like to focus more on the breeding aspect of the birds, or what do you think, that just the care, raising, biddies? What do you think is one of the parts that you enjoy the most?
My part that I enjoy the most, Jim, is getting these animals ready to go, ready for showtime, and I'd say that's probably my strongest point. You know, as far as the breeding aspect, I've done breeding all my life as well. Not
Right.
on a real major scale. I'll consider what you call a backyard breeder,
Right.
and I love all aspects of it. But I'd say my strong point is definitely, and I think it's all aspects of the game is so challenging. But
Right.
you know, getting a rooster at peak performance, I mean, there's so much challenge in it, and that's what really intrigues me.
Yeah, that and I guess, and like you say, every aspect of the sport is definitely challenging, and some areas, some people challenge with more than others, but it's a lot of moving parts in that final stage. It's a lot of moving parts. Um, so now that we're talking about that, back in the day, did you have an experience? What states or what pits did you visit back in the day as you was growing up when the sport was legal?
Man, I've been all over. I've been all over. One of the biggest ones that comes to mind is the Bayou,
Okay, that's in Louisiana.
Louisiana. Yes, sir. The
Oh,
last legal state, I believe.
last legal state. And tell us a little bit about that experience there the last time you were there.
I'm sorry, Jim. I kind of cut out there.
Okay, so just tell us a little bit about the experience that you had at the last at the last show in Louisiana before it became illegal.
Oh man, it was. I mean, just words can't describe. You know what I mean? Going to a pit like that legal. I mean,
Oh, it looks like he kind of cut out. His Wi-Fi hasn't been that great. He said they have a snow. Let me see if I can pull him back in. Um, wow, I'm sorry about this, guys. Give me 1 second. Please don't log out. Just give me a second. Let me okay, here he's coming back in. He's coming back in. Sorry about that. They're dealing with a snowstorm, a blizzard out there in New Mexico right now. So he's just having a little difficulty with this live stream, with his Wi-Fi out there. You know, we just really just trying to make the best of it. He should be coming on in right now. I just apologize once again. But his live stream, he told me that. Here we go. go. There we go. I know you're dealing with a blizzard out there, man, and I know that Wi-Fi ain't as good, but hey, we just got to make the best of it. That's all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let's get back to what you were saying about your last experience out in Louisiana at the last derby before they made it illegal.
Yes, sir. No, it was a huge learning experience on being able to travel chickens. You know what I mean, from state to state, and just the challenging and obstacles that you come across through something like that. It's you know, it lasts for a long time, and again, it's just adjustments and changes you constantly try to make, and the experience was huge. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, as far as learning, you know.
Right. Right. So tell me something. What do you think was one of the biggest challenges? Obviously, is the competition, because that club there brought some of the heavy hitters from all over the country there. And a lot of people, you know, was there as spectators. Not everybody got to compete, but at that level, man, what do you think is one of the biggest challenges? You know, coming from one state, traveling to another state, and then going against those heavy hitters like that.
I mean, the biggest thing is, you know, of course, you know, you're running into a lot with the travel, so you're trying to get your roosters there in a decent time, and so you give yourself enough time to make some adjustments, and then, you know, you're going against just, you know, aces and top people in the country. So
Right.
at that point, you know, the hardest challenge is keeping your rooster, getting them right, and then
Right.
the obstacle of keeping them where you need to be. That's
That's the biggest challenge. So tell me something. If you can remember, what mistakes or what things would you have done over after leaving that pit or that experience?
well, I learned how to. I would never travel them with feed in them if I could say anything is, and that was so we'd drive for 8 hours, 9 hours come feeding time. I was pulling over at rest areas in Texas and feeding my chickens, which again, you know,
Wow.
is just a big learning curve. And you know, I learned the hard way.
Right. So tell me something. With that experience there, man, how did y'all guys make out at the show?
We didn't do good at all. We were there when we donated, but you know, it was worth it. You know what I mean? It's helped me along the way for when I do travel to Mexico and show, and it shows a big
Right.
difference.
Right, it does, huh? So you brought a lot of that from way back in the day, from your experience back then to you know, to that kind of followed you throughout your whole career, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been huge.
It's been huge. So tell me something. Do you raise a lot of your birds now, or you know, from biddies, hatching, and that type of stuff, or what stage do you typically like to you know, that you pretty much have them? Do you bring them from biddies, or you start from stags, or?
Well, right now, I currently got acquired some great bloodfowl from Mr. Jason Daniels, of course,
Oh,
and
okay.
you know, I haven't got into those a whole lot yet because you know, I've been picking them up from Alabama, and I get them about 11, 12 months, and we hold them over, and then we get to show them in Mexico when they're 2 years
Right.
old. So, and
Okay, I got you. I,
basically all the success that we've had, you know, I mean, I owe it for the fantastic breeding of Jason Daniels and the care, you know, from Mr. Mike Kirtland and those boys down there
right.
who have the trust.
Mario, you conked out just a little bit, but I know the last thing you said that you know you owe it to you know, Mike Kirkland and them guys down there at Gators Farm. Um, so just on the next thing, um, younger guys coming up. You know, you came up through the sport when the sport was perfectly legal. You know, what kind of advice, man, would you give some of the guys, you know, coming into the sport from a breeding and show aspect, that you know was kind of discouraging for you as you was growing up?
Um, Man, the biggest thing I can is listen. You know what I mean? When anybody's giving some kind of information out there, you know, best thing you can do is listen. Uh, you know what I mean? It's huge because I mean, there's so many different aspects. You can learn one thing from one guy, and then you hear something totally different from the other guy. And when it comes down to it, is all these amazing cockers got they're able to get them to where they need to get them, and they all have their different ways. But you know what I mean? Who's to say it's wrong and who's to say it's right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what's so huge. Listen, and what works for you works for you. And again, this is the toughest sport. In what I look for is percentages. If I'm able to get my percentage out of them, that's all I can ask for. You know what I mean? Because it's so tough.
Right. It is. Yeah, it is extremely tough because it does have a lot of moving parts to it, and that's what makes it so challenging.
Yes.
So just say when you get your stags, you know, what do you prefer? Do you prefer pins over tie cords, or do you use a combination of both?
I do a combination of both. It's all part of, you know, what I like to call my yard, you know, because it's not a necessarily like a brood facility. You know what I mean? I get them ready to show, so we call it the gym. So, you know, I have a combination of fly pins and cords, and you know what I mean? It's just a strict rotation balance of what I try to do.
Okay. So you do use rotation is still very common, huh?
It's key. It's key.
Rotation is key. Tell me something, Mario. How about back in the day? I remember, you know, a lot of guys back in the day, did they use more hand working or table or bench working versus a rotation? Because, you know, I hear a lot of conversations. Some guys, like, depending on what they're into, like the hand work them, some like the rotation. What do you think?
Well, you know, back in the day, you know what I mean? You had a lot of both. You know, me personally, I did both. So I like to hand work them, and at the same time, but back in the day when it was legal, you know, all we showed up in my part of the area was the spur. And you know, the last 10, 15 years it was legal, it switched over to the short knife. So that changed the whole game as far as getting them ready, and now it's less work and more rotation for me anyhow.
Wow. Okay, I got you. So tell me this then. That's a great point. Because I'm sure, you know, we got people watching that came from both backgrounds, or some. Not everybody have experienced both backgrounds back in the day. So let's just talk about the spur. You know, back in the day, a keep with a spur. What would that kind of consist of? If they were showing it like the gab.
Man, you would have you know, well, I can tell you for my regiment, what I would do is I would have we'd do initial pre-keep. We had to have a pre-keep, you know, 3 to 4 weeks out. And typically it would be 3 weeks out. It's just a pre-keep, something where I'll be scratching them in fly pens, and again, rotation every day, and you know, get some good sparring in. And then when I was about 2 weeks out, that's when I'd get a lot more of the table work done.
Okay.
And then up until the last week, I'd still do a little more table work, and then, you know, the last 2-3 days I would rest. But I had to have we had to have a tough keep because, you know, growing up, we didn't have access or money to top quality fowl. I mean, we did good with what we had, but it made us stronger in the keep, not having, you know, to compete with these guys. So, I mean, actually it helped us.
Right. So y'all basically had to work a lot harder to make sure y'all birds were in tip-top shape, because y'all really didn't have, like you said, the super top quality fowl. So y'all had to kind of make up the difference by making sure the birds came in superior shape. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's a very good point. So when you get to that elite level anyway, you kind of dealing with guys who have both. They have top quality fowl, and the fowl is in tip-top shape, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Makes life miserable, and that's like and that's what you can't get discouraged. You know what I mean? And especially this sport, you know, it's definitely humbling. Man, that's what makes it the best sport on earth. You know what I mean?
Right.
It really does.
Right. So tell me this. So you basically saying back in the day, was y'all keep 3 weeks or 5 weeks or what was it? Total with pre-keep and keep.
Altogether, it'd be about 4 weeks to get ready for a
It'd be
spur
about,
derby.
okay, 4 weeks. You know, I got a big question here, and I hear a lot of debate about it. I have kind of seen success on both sides. How do you feel? What is the chances of a person being successful if they got to work a full-time job? Because we hear that all the time. You know, a lot of guys say they can do it. A lot of guys say they can't do it. How do you feel, man? Do you think someone, or back in the day, were there guys working jobs that were successful?
Yes, yes, you'd see it a lot. It's like anything. You want to be good at anything. There's going to be some kind of sacrifice.
Right,
You got to sacrifice, and you know, you get out what you put into anything. You know what I mean? What you
right,
put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Now, for me, I do got a full-time job and had a full-time job and was able to show chickens back in the day successfully. But you know, I couldn't do it. You know, me. I got some amazing friends.
right,
Without them, I wouldn't be able to do anything what I was able to do. You know, and
okay,
I mean, and being able to trust somebody, especially with your birds, it's a
right.
big deal, you know, because, you know, all that time, you know, spent away from the family is with your chickens. So it's tough. It's tough. But, you know, like I said, without the team, I wouldn't be nothing.
Yeah, and that's what it seemed like. And I think that's the biggest challenge with some of the guys being, you know, some of the guys being not having access to, you know, to a team and they kind of going solo, and it can get kind of discouraging, you know, kind of doing it, you know, one man band, doing everything on your own. And I know guys out there have done it, but I guess it all goes back to the sacrifice you have to make to try to make that work, huh?
Well, without a doubt, and you know, I've talked to, you know, some great friends in the past, you know, and they were able to incorporate, you know, instead of feeding twice a day, you know, you feed once a day, and again, it's that balance and knowledge of knowing how that rooster's feeling, how he's responding to your likes, and you know, there's ways around it. I mean, it's hard to dive into a whole lot of that because I mean, I don't practice a whole lot of that, or practiced a whole lot of that to begin with, but
Right,
uh, that's how I was able to make it work with some great family and friends,
right,
and that was the key. But like I said, there's still, you know, you can't get discouraged there. And like I said, listen, you know what I mean. You got some great people out there who have done it like that, and they're always willing to help people out. You know what I mean. And that's what's
right,
great about our community
right,
of cockers. You know, so
right.
there's again, when you're going to go to big major competition, you know what I mean. You gotta sacrifice. You
You
definitely
got to
gotta
sacrifice.
sacrifice.
Right, right. And I really wanted to bring that point up because again, you know, everybody don't have access to a team, but then you know they have a burning passion and want to still be a part of this. But I know sometimes they get discouraged because it's like, dude, you know, I'm trying to do this all by myself, and you know, and it's kind of hard. And I say, yeah, you know, that's something that's a legitimate, you know, that's a legitimate concern. You know,
No,
and,
it is.
and they don't want to give up, but they just like, man, it's like me by myself. Maybe I need some pointers from somebody.
No, it's again, like I say, do what the bird needs, not what you think. I mean, it's you know, and it's going to come with experience. So you
Right,
know, you're getting those roosters ready, and you're by yourself, and say you can only feed at night. You know what I mean? When the time comes,
right,
that's when you go and feed, and you know, you make your adjustments from there. You know what I mean? So if you don't do so good that time, again, you can't balance it on. You got to balance it on percentages, and make your adjustments from there. You know what I mean? Slow it down. You know what I mean? And
right,
take notes. Take notes. You know, that's a big king. What did you do? Okay, I fed every day at 5:30.
right,
You know what I mean? Maybe change it up, and you know, maybe feed in the mornings and see, you know, they get emptier better, and
right.
different stuff. And you're able to go back on your notes when you're by yourself, and you can reflect on something like that, and then get, you know, talk to other people, and they'll help you make those adjustments. You know what I mean?
Right. That's very
There's
good
ways to
advice.
do
You're
it.
exactly right. Taking those notes are very, very important. And then also something for you to go back on, but it's basically just making adjustments per your lifestyle because it's kind of hard to take. somebody else's system and just apply it directly to you, and your guys work two different lifestyles. You might work day, this guy might work nights, you know, or this guy might work 10 hours on and 3 days off. So like you said, I guess documenting everything, you know, going back over your notes, and then always feeling comfortable and being able to reach out and ask for some advice.
Exactly, exactly. And I guarantee you there'll be somebody out there who'll be able to steer you in the right direction. I can guarantee that. But yeah, you know, I mean, it's documenting how they perform and what you did, and that's the easiest way to go back and make that adjustment. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. That's the easiest way, because I know a lot of times, you know, it seems like we remember what's going on, or, you know, remember, you know, what we did 3 keeps ago, or even the same. A lot of times I hear a lot of guys say even the same bird, you know, when they gotta, you know, use the same bird, they go back to their books and they find out how did he work during his last keep, you know, and that makes a big difference.
Oh no, it does. It does. I mean, and now with technology these days, you know what I mean? You know, I believe in the video, and you know, we record and stuff when we travel, you know, so that's
Right.
and you make your adjustments from there.
Right, right. So just to talk, since we talking about the feed thing, I hear some guys say they feed wet, they feed dry. Do you feed maintenance, you know, a certain feed, the same feed throughout the year, or do you change it up, you know, with seasons? So first question is, do you feed wet or dry?
When you're preparing a show, I do feed wet.
Okay, you do feed wet.
Throughout the
Now,
year, maintaining chickens is different. You know what I mean? It's a regular maintenance feed throughout the year, and it's
okay,
dry.
so just a okay, so you feed dry maintenance feed throughout the year, but showtime you feed them wet. Do you feed them wet throughout the whole keep?
Yes, sir.
Or you feed them wet throughout the whole keep? Okay. And how many times in a day do you feed?
We feed twice a day out here.
Oh, twice a day. Okay, okay. So you feed twice a day. You feed wet feed. Is there any reason you feed twice a day?
Um, it's for me, you know, I feed them less, I balance them, and I don't know. I guess you could call it kind of a diet, but just you know,
Okay.
measure the intake and what's going in, what's going out of them. Uh, it's you know what I mean. I think it's just a better balance. You know what I mean, and it's consistency doing it. You know what I mean. We feed at a certain time in the morning, certain time in the evening,
Okay.
and just you know, it helps me get their bodies right, and especially being from a lot drier climate. You know what I mean?
Right.
You gotta incorporate that wet feed. You know what I mean? For us, and
Right.
I think if you're back east, you know, a little bit more moisture and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Maybe you would result back to a drier feed. You know what I mean? And be easier for somebody to get them right.
Gotcha. So tell me, so when you feeding them twice a day, is that basically one single portion divided in two, or is it
Correct.
two different things? Okay.
Correct. If you break it down and balance it, it's basically you know two halves, and it makes the whole for the whole day.
Okay. All right. And it's basically the same thing. You feeding the same thing in the morning as you feeding at night.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next thing, do you use pre-mix feed, or do y'all guys mix your own feed?
I mix my own feed.
Oh, you mix your own feed. Okay, okay. Is it a combination of different bag feeds, or do you go to a mill and have it all, you know, your own formula mixed for you?
When it's the keep feed, no. So I go and I hand pick and select everything. You know, me or the boys, we hand pick and select everything, and we watch everything and we mix it ourselves and make sure it's the balance of the mixtures correctly.
Okay. I don't know how much detail that you would like to go into about your feed, but can you give the viewers maybe some ideas of what things you take in consideration when you putting the feed together?
Well, a lot of stuff, you know, I balance it off of, I guess you would say proteins. Uh,
Okay.
so I'm watching that. I'm watching the proteins. You know what I mean? They got good quality, clean feed at Whole Food stores and stuff like that. So I get clean, organic, and again, it come out and make a difference. It could, but for me, it works
Right.
really good. And going.
Right. Got you. So tell me something. Let's talk about maintenance feed. What do you suggest, like on a maintenance feed? Or what do y'all guys use throughout the year? Is it a high grade maintenance feed or is it mid-level maintenance feed?
I use you know what I mean? I guess I would say it's to the lower end. And the reason for that, Jim, is and I try to balance it in the summer. I change it up just a little bit, maybe not so much protein in the beginning of the molt, and then a little more protein at the end of the molt to help them out. And
Okay.
it's still not too much, but I feel reason why I don't do it that much because it's easier for me to get the chickens ready. That's when I balance it and put it up a little different in the key. So you know what I mean? So they're not having the high level the whole time, and it's easier for me, you know what I mean? Because I want them to be at their peak and
Right.
the best feeling, not, you know what I mean? For me, it's a balance. We're trying to balance
Right.
it. And
Right.
so I want them to, you know what I mean? I want them to respond and get all this good stuff here. At the same time, I got to keep them, you know what I mean, 100% healthy through, and it does, and it really does. Heck, you know what I mean? I've seen people feed scratch year round and show really good. You know what I mean? So I think it's a
Wow.
balance.
Okay, so all right, so basically you don't, you feed them, like you said, decent feed throughout the year because when it comes showtime, they respond better when they get a higher grade feed, correct?
I feel so. You know what I mean? I think personally, in my opinion, I worry about a chicken burning out. You know what I mean? And if I got you already way up here, how can I get them to this level of the peak? You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me,
Right.
you know, I keep it balanced, and then come showtime, you know what I mean? I'm going to keep you up here because I want to sustain
Okay,
that
I got
level up
you.
here.
So tell me something, Mara, have you always done that or is that something that you learned through experience?
Through experience and trial and error, and that's what's helped me to get my to get the consistency that I want.
Right. And that's a big piece of information. And I say that because I've heard some guys use a reason why their successes or they're not being able to be successful because they can't afford good top quality feed all year. You're basically saying that's not even necessary. You can feed an average grade feed throughout the year because the most important time is during showtime is when you got to feed that top quality feed, correct?
Correct, sir. And see, and it's a unique situation. I'm able to do that. I mean, I'm blessed again because my yard I consider it the gym. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where I'm just working chickens. So now it's going to change if somebody's breeding and raising a bunch of chickens. You got chickens running loose, plus you're trying to get chickens. You got to keep those chickens healthy regardless. That's number one. We all know that. But
Right.
you know, I'm not, you know, I mean, I don't sell a whole lot of chickens, so I don't have to keep chickens, you know what I mean, at such a premium level because when you're selling and you're raising a lot of chickens, you get one sick chicken. Well, now you got 40 sick chickens. See, so where I'm able to control and contain and I mean, it kind of, you know what I mean, it's a good
Right.
advantage. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, it's an advantage.
Right.
Cool.
Right. So since we talked about the feed and stuff, so let's go back, man, in time and tell us say a bird or a few birds or whatever that really impact your life and that you still have great memories about. You know, what is a bird that made a big impact on your life?
Well, I seen that question come up earlier, Jim, and actually I got a picture of him behind me,
Oh,
and
you do, huh?
it was a one. His name is Dino. We named him Dino. He just
Okay.
he's a half and half Gator Blueface from Jason. And
Okay.
I mean, well, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, he was so impressive back in the day when he was a stag. I mean, I guarantee he won about 13 months old. He probably won in seconds against 2-year-olds. You know what I mean? In major competition. I mean,
Wow.
untouched, and so it was really impressive. But then when you know his wings got, you know, when they break some wing feathers and stuff like that,
Right.
that was the only scratch on him. So I had to hold him over as a 2-year-old. Now, as a
Right.
2-year-old, he won twice clean. But what makes him so memorable is, as a 2-year-old cock, we set this chicken on the line, and I've never seen a chicken do it in my life, but he didn't even take a step. He just like squat down and just went off in flight from one line to the other and left the other rooster on the other line. Just, I mean, just, again, untouched, so impressive. I guess what you would call a true ace cock. This half and half. I mean, it's just, it was amazing. It was amazing. Never seen nothing like it.
Wow, that is amazing. So you say he just launched off the launch pad and the other bird never got to launch off anything?
Never got to launch off of anything. That chicken hovered about 6 inches in the air, met that other bird on his line, and left him there.
Wow.
So, and now,
wow.
you know, that being a 3-time winner, I think there's some offspring coming off of him. We call it the Dino line. So, I mean, it's just, it's that good. You know what I mean?
I see that put a smile on your face, huh?
that rooster meant a lot to us, still does. You know what I mean?
Right. So listen, man, and just to kind of get an idea, just to kind of recap, some stuff for some of the people that might have just came on. You're a 3rd generation cocker. You can remember most of your memories start when you're about 7, 8 years old. Your uncles, got you into the sport. Obviously, you got hooked like the rest of us did. You had an opportunity to do some traveling and stuff like that. So, now, we have a lot of challenges today. Obviously, the sport it's not legal here, and we got to do a lot of traveling and those kind of things. Do you think with all of these negative effects that we have so far, has it dampened down your passion for the sport?
No, never. I mean, it's just it's in our blood. You know what I mean? So it never, we're not. Man, it never. Like I said, it never once. I mean, you get upset. I mean, it is discouraging. You know what I mean? Without a doubt,
Right.
because
Right.
I mean, it's the lack of knowledge from these animals, and I guess that's the most discouraging part, is they don't really understand the game fowl like we do, and you know what I mean. They're quick to judge and say and stuff that's not even true. You know what I mean? So I'd say that'd be the most discouraging part. But as far as no, man, my love and passion will never change for what these bring to me and my family.
That's right. Yeah, I feel, and like I say, this sport definitely, you have to have a foundation of family values and good morals and principles and stuff like that, which is opposite of what they portray us. But at the end of the day, it's very easy for somebody from the outside to point the finger and judge somebody from the other side that they have no affiliation or no knowledge of. And I think guys like yourself being young, that's an encouragement, I think, to a lot of guys out there, not just young but older, but guys who's getting in the sport for breeding and show purposes only.
Yes,
But it's very encouraging to see somebody of your age, with the background that you have, because a lot of times people really like to know, what is separating these top level guys from the average guy. Everybody who's been in this sport 20 years is not at the same level. You know what I mean? So, I think it's very important for guys like you, for people to know that guys like you exist, because it does give them some encouragement, because we barrage with discouraging things all the time when it comes to this sport. But, my next question is something I think is very important. Is what do you feel is the difference between, top level guys and say average guys, and I don't know if it's money, if it's what it is, but what do you think it is? What do you think is separating the pack?
Well, man, I mean, and again, this question is part of what makes, again, our sport so great and so tough, that it's that tough. I mean, I even catch myself in it, Jim. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you get snowblind, you're sitting too close to it. You gotta, and like I refer back to what I said back earlier, is you gotta sit back and listen. You know,
Right.
when you stop that, you know what I mean? You should be constantly learning something new. I mean, just because, you know, this say, you know, you come in with this guy and, you know, he's been fighting for 5 years. I've been
Right.
fighting my whole life, third generation. Doesn't mean I
Right.
can't learn something from him, but sometimes, you know, you lose sight of that. But you know what I
Right.
mean? You gotta humble yourself and again, you could learn something new every day, especially with these animals. And I'm still learning, and I got great people around me who I'm still learning from, and that's key. You know what I mean? That's key to helping you continue to evolve to try to stay on a top elite level. You know,
Right. That's
and it's the
exactly
hard work
right.
and dedication that's going to show through. You know what I mean? But I mean, I had an old timer once. You know, I got to sit down and just chicken talk with them, and we got into which is a great subject is. You know, everybody, you know, and I think it's a huge debate, and it's great. You know, you got to have care, and people would say, you know, the percentage is you know, it's got to be what 80% care, you know, 20%. You know, for me, care should be without a doubt. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
the number one rule. But you know, you could have a Rhode Island Red, 100% healthy, 365 days a year. At the end of the day, it's still Rhode Island Red. You gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta have top quality fowl too. You know what I mean? And there's that saying, you know, great roosters make good handlers, good feeders. You know what I'm saying? So if I could give somebody advice, you know what I mean? Invest, look for good quality fowl. You know what I mean? That's the key where it starts, and then you know what I mean. It should be hand in hand as far as the care. You know what I mean?
Right. So that leads me to my next question. Starting out, starting out, um, let's talk about what stages do you think that somebody should try to focus on? Like starting out, do you think somebody starting out should go out here, and buy $1,500 trios walking out the door, or do you think that maybe they should buy some average birds and start to learn how to, care for them, feed them, and all that? Opinions is always all types of ways. But what do you think? How do you feel about that?
Um, I mean, you know, I definitely look around. You got to find your style. You know what I mean? You really got to find your style. What intrigues you about a certain type of bloodline, or and if you want to go with that direction, you know, you got to stick with that direction and kind of try to master that craft. You know what I mean? But I would definitely, you know, I mean, you got to spend the money, get the top quality. That's a must. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be hard to
Yes.
learn. Like I said, you're gonna learn a lot of hard ways at that point. Not necessarily saying because you pay 1,500 for a trio that you're going to come out dominating the sport. I mean,
That's
but
right.
but it does start there. It starts there with
Right.
top quality fowl, and then you know what I mean, care and you know, listening to their bodies, learning their bodies. I mean, that's the key, man. It really is.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree with you because like you say, I mean, in back in the day, but just to take you for example, back in the day, like you said, back then y'all didn't have top quality foul, but what y'all had to do is y'all had to compensate by making sure they was in probably better shape than anything else in the building to kind of
Yes, sir.
compensate for the fact that you didn't have the genetics. So that still shows, even if you don't have the genetics, you still can try to make best do with what you have.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And
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 that's
and
the key.
and then I guess over time you try to work your way up, to get top quality fowl because that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to have the genetics. Have the genetics and have all the other pieces, but genetics is definitely to me the foundation of the whole game.
Without a doubt. I agree 100%.
Right. I have had many conversations with guys, and I know a lot of times, everybody don't have the finances and they're not in a position. And I just tell them, hey, just get out there and just try to do the best with what you have. And I'm glad you brought up that story that at a time in your life, y'all didn't have top quality foul, but y'all still made the best of it and y'all still was able to compete. But again, the ultimate goal was eventually you knew you needed to get top quality foul.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
All right, man. So my next question is this. We know we got to get top quality foul. you have to learn. I mean, you know, you have to do best with what you have. What stages would you say guys should focus on coming into the sport? Is it coming in, you know, health, breeding, hatching, you know, care, keep, bloodlines? What do you think is a stage or starting point that somebody should focus on?
I mean, in my opinion, again, it would definitely be care and bloodline. I think those two both go hand in hand. You know what I mean? Because again, you could have the best care, but again, your quality ain't there. You ain't gonna see the results you're looking for. But then you could have some good quality roosters, but if your care ain't there, they ain't gonna show quality. So that's something that's hand in hand. You come in knowing it is care, and again, bloodline, and that's definitely gonna be monumental for them.
Right, exactly, exactly. So that leads me to my next question. Let's talk a little bit about care. You know, can you tell us a little bit about, say, your worming regiment? You know, how do you worm your birds and de-lice them and that type of stuff?
Yeah, no, that's again, it goes hand in hand with the maintenance and carrier chickens. I mean, you should have a calendar. You should have it marked daily. You got to switch it up as far as different kind of wormers. Again, you know what I mean. I use a liquid wormer. I use a pill form. I
Okay,
keep it changed up, and again, you know what I mean. I do it once a month. Same thing as far as delousing. You know what I mean. Again,
right.
once a month. And every time
Okay,
you pick up a chicken, you know what I mean. I was always taught since day one. You pick up a chicken, you're feeling his body. You're rubbing him down, and you're checking if he has bugs. I mean, that should be
right.
every time you grab a rooster, because again, sometimes you know what I mean. What if something got missed, and it's hand in hand with care, and that's a good rule of thumb. Every time you pick up the chicken, you should check him for bugs. You should check. I always feel his body. That's the first thing you do. Make sure he's not too fat, and you know what I mean.
Right.
It's just a constant rotation of that.
A constant rotation. It's something like you say you got to do every day. You should be out there putting your hands on them or at least looking at them, you know, and just making sure that you're on top. So when you mentioned, you said worm, you do your worming and delousing once a month?
Once a month, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you spray anything on your birds or treat them for any type of external parasites, anything like that?
I don't. At the stage and level I get them from, as far as vaccinations, that already comes pre-done. Which again, I'm blessed and thankful for that.
Okay. Okay.
Spoiled.
Okay. Okay.
Spoiled. I ain't gonna lie.
So half your work is is done. You just need to carry it on out, huh?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm blessed, and that's why I got good family, and Jason, you know what I mean. He's family, and man, I can't thank him for what he does for me.
Yeah, man. We had opportunity. We met at his barbecue, man, and I was just fascinated. You know, seeing that many birds in one place. My chin was just on the ground. I just couldn't believe it. I just was like, how is this even possible? You know,
Well,
because
well,
in
not
Puerto
only
Rico,
that.
you know, you'll have guys that got a couple hundred birds, but not. I mean, he had a couple thousand, and I'm just like, man, I have never seen a situation like this ever.
Yes, sir. No, and it's not only that. You see that many birds, and you see what this guy's able to do. But then, you know what I mean. He's able to take time, and like I said, you know what I mean. I don't consider him a friend. He's family, because he's well, you got to meet him. You know what I mean. You get somebody like that who's doing it on that level, and I mean, and treats you just like, you know what I mean. He's one of the local boys. You know what I mean, and
Right.
take a lot of honor and respect in that.
Right, man. Because this place was phenomenal. His birds were just phenomenal. And it's actually, you know, when you see a situation like that, man, it kind of gives you some inspiration. You know, it kind of gives
No
you some
doubt.
inspiration. You know, it just shows you all things are possible. You know, if you
Sure.
walk into somebody's place and they got a couple thousand birds and all of them are in good shape, the place is clean. You know, you're like, wow. You know, it's possible. And it doesn't tell me this, and this is something that I hear a lot of times in the sport back in Puerto Rico. Do you think it's totally about money? Because a lot of guys, always the response is when somebody's doing good is like, oh, because they got money. I personally don't feel like that, but what do you think?
No, no, man. I don't think it's that at all. Again, you're gonna get what you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it.
Right.
Now, is it a little leverage? Yes, it is. You know what I mean? Because he's got access stuff you can't get access to, but you can't let
Right.
that discourage you, especially, I mean, you know, you're competitive. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? So if you don't got something, you know, you got to find a way around it and make it happen. But I can say, you know, it is a slight advantage. You know what I mean? So it's tough one, man.
It definitely is. But you know, and I'm glad we're talking about Gator because we're gonna have him on the show. I did reach out to him and he agreed to come on, which I'm honored, and I really look forward to that. I know he's gonna bring a lot to the table. He's an awesome guy, man. Invited me out to the barbecue, which I really appreciate that. Showed me a great time. I met a lot of great people, but you're right, man. You surround yourself with people like that, and pick their brain. Not only can they provide you with top quality foul, but they can provide you also with top quality information.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. I mean, it's huge. It's huge, and when you got great people like that in the sport, that's what makes this sport so great. I mean, and I've had so many throughout the years. You know what I mean? And that's why I said, don't be discouraged if there's a few people you talk to that are not willing to help, because there's been so much people. I mean, I got people down here, as a kid growing up, man, not sure if I'm doing something right, would take time out of the day to come down and come talk to me and show me. And don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions. But again, back to the key thing, make sure you listen, and not everything they say might not work for you, but I guarantee there's a few things out there it's going to be able to work.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. Just because everything is not going to work for you, don't mean you shouldn't listen. You just got to take the parts out of it that will apply to your situation, and the parts that don't apply to your situation, then oh well. But you're right. I think sometimes people get caught up in, if they hear a couple things that's not going to work for them, they feel as though they don't need to talk to that person anymore or ask them for any more advice, which I think that's probably the wrong approach.
That's definitely the wrong approach, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of the same thing. So tell me this, man. Say this was 15 years ago, 18 years ago. I'm 12 years old. I live in your neighborhood. I'm getting into sport. What would you tell a 12-year-old Mario? Put it that way. What would you tell a 12-year-old Mario?
Well, it's you're gonna get in one of the toughest sports you could be in, and again, don't get discouraged, because it's such a humbling sport, and stay focused, hard work, and dedication. You know what I mean? I think that's the principal rule, and again, a lot of that from the past, it just taught me, even how with my kids. You know what I mean? That's how monumental this sport's been to me. You know what I mean? To teach you structure and respect, and I've been able to carry that on. Not just with the birds, but with my family as well. You know what I mean? It's, you want something, you gotta work your tail off, and good things are gonna come out of it. Again, you get whatever you put into something is what you're gonna get out of it. I believe in that with all my heart.
Yeah, I think that reigns true. Just not only in this sport, but kind of in anything, in your personal and professional life. Right. Yeah. That's exactly right, man. Tell me this, Mara. What do you think was one of your biggest keys to your success, man? I mean, because a lot of guys out in the Midwest know you're a heavy hitter, and you're still young. I mean, you're young. And what do you think, man, were some of the keys, man, to your success?
Man, there's so much to that all culminates to achieve that. I mean, again, you know what I mean? Of course, the keep in understanding, when you go into the keep, it's again, not doing what you want to do, but doing what the bird needs, and over time it comes. You know what I mean? You know what that bird needs, so you got tendencies and you want to do a certain thing, and you can't do that. You know what I mean? Because again, it's going to turn around and bite you. And again, I got a great support team that I can't thank enough. You know what I mean? Without them, we couldn't achieve what we're able to do. And we put in the work, and it shows, it pays off. And again, just you got to stay at it. Stay at it.
You got to stay at it. That's exactly right, man. I think you know, everything that you've been saying is exactly right. I really, really appreciate you coming on the show, man, because I wanted to give people a different view. You know, not just everybody, you know, coming on and just looking at these guys who, you know, 60, 70 years old, you know, and saying that, you know, they have kind of gotten a head start. When you see some guys that's still young, that's still doing it, that's still successful, making an impact, that works, you know, didn't come from money, you know, kind of worked your way through the trenches, man, and did, you know, and I keep going back to this. It's amazing how you said that coming up, y'all didn't have the best foul, but y'all knew y'all had to have them in the best shape to even have any type of chance at all. I think that's really, really big because there's more people out there with average foul than it is people with top quality foul.
Yes, sir. And again, it goes back to the question you just asked me, you know, and that's part of the key to being able to be successful now is going through that and learning that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And now we're able to, it's different when you got some good stuff on your hands. It really is.
No, it definitely is, man. It makes your job a lot easier, right?
Yes, sir. It really does. It really does. I ain't gonna lie, man. It really does.
Yeah, but you also made a good point too. Like you said, you can have good care and trash foul, and you know it's still going to show your results. And you can have top quality foul, but trash care, and you pretty much is going to end up in the same spot, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Without a doubt.
Right. I think it's so extremely important, man, to have both aspects of it. And I always say, until you're able to get the top quality foul, then master the care part. You know, focus on the part that you have control over, because, you know, everybody don't have the finances, and some people have it. They just choose not to spend it on that. But, you know, if you do not have access to it at the time, then just master the craft that you know, have in front of you. You know, you don't have the top quality foul, but you can master the care. And it seemed like that's what y'all guys did back in the day.
Yes, sir. We didn't have a choice. I mean, we loved it, and you know, we worked with what we had, and again, I mean, I think it made us better for it. You know, you know, it made us a lot better as the sport went on.
Right, because you actually had to work harder to use substandard foul to compete on top level. You actually had to work twice as hard, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree totally. So listen, man, I just kind of want to just say this last little bit before we close out. I really want to thank you first for coming on to the show. I also really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving us that support with this fundraiser that we're doing for Puerto Rico. As we have talked about it, man, they're in a big fight. They're trying to hold on to something that we have lost. And I think you know, that this fight is giving a whole lot of guys a lot of inspiration, is saying that there's a lot more things that's possible. Maybe we need to start getting more active. Maybe, you know, it seemed like the guys' brains are starting to kind of fire back up, man. But I really want to thank you, man, for your support that you're giving this fundraiser, man. It means a lot. That little teeny island, man, is basically going up against the whole United States government on this deal here. So they need all the support that they can get. And their win is our win. And I think a lot of times guys don't understand it. They think if they win, it's just for them. No, it's not. Their win is our win because of the way that they're attacking this thing. And the results of it is just going to set the stage for us. So, again, man, I really, really appreciate, man, all the support that you've given us with this auction, man. It really is really going to make a difference. Those guys are doing everything that they said they were going to do. You know, they put 20,000 people in the streets, like they said, with less than 2 weeks' notice. You know, they said they was going to D.C. They got to D.C. They doing everything that they said they were going to do. So that I said, you know, to me, man, I just feel some type of responsibility. I love this sport, and if it's something that I can do to keep it alive, even if it's not sitting right in my backyard, I need to do it. I just feel a sense of responsibility.
Jim, again, I want to thank you for the amazing work that you've been able to do on that, and to be able to bring these people together. I mean, like I said, it's inspiring. It's inspiring to me. You know what I mean? Again, I want to thank you for that. Thank Casey Chadburn for his hard work working on that. I mean, and whoever else is involved, it really is amazing. And however we can help and pull together, we got to show them how strong we can be if we stand together as one. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's big important. And Casey has been a huge help. You know, he laid the groundwork for it. I reached out to a friend of a friend, and they connected me to him, and Casey was in it 100% from the beginning. You know, he didn't have any questions about how it was going to affect him directly. He's just like, you know what, man, I want to be a part of it. What do you need from me? And I'm in 100%. And I really, really want to thank him. You know, all of the guys in Puerto Rico, they're so appreciative. You know, it's a language barrier with some. You know, all of them don't speak English, but we do get it translated. Like I said, the auction is starting. I got guys already loading up stuff in the auction. The auction is going to start on March 1st to March 10th. We wanted to, Casey, you know, told me, like I said, he just laid the groundwork for it. You know, we want to start this on March 1st because Kentucky is a Gamefowl Breeders Association is having their auction through this month. So out of respect, we definitely don't want to overlap on somebody else's efforts to raise money for what they're trying to do, because all of our work is important. But just again, guys, the auction starts March 1st to the March 10th. It's Stand with Puerto Rico. Y'all guys can get in that group. Mario, again, I look forward to coming out there. We'll be soon, but I'm not coming out there with 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, man, we'll let it get a little warmer, brother.
I can't deal with all that snow, man. But again, dude, I greatly appreciate it. I thank you for your support, man. I really feel as though bring you on, man, will give a lot of guys inspiration. Like I said, you're still young. You've been very successful. You didn't come from money. You know, you like one of us, man. You know, you come from the background of one of us, man. You didn't start off with top quality fowl. So I think you brought a lot of great points, man. A lot of great points that guys can take away. So, guys, I know it's been a lot of comments. We haven't responded to any comments because, again, I was just really trying to stay focused. I'm not no professional interviewer, but I see it was a lot of comments, and you know, y'all guys can definitely keep those comments posted. I'm sure Mario, when we gets off of here, he can respond to some of those comments like we did with the last interview. You know, y'all guys can reach out to him, Mario Maldonado, based at Albuquerque, New Mexico, one of the young guns, the heavy hitters in the sport. A lot of y'all guys know him. The ones that don't know him, y'all need to get to know him. And hopefully soon we'll be having your boy Gator, Jason Daniels, coming on hopefully after. Use a lot of good guys, man. And hopefully we can keep this going. You know, we can spend our Friday nights talking chicken talk. And, you know, instead of watching soap operas or whatever the case is, I think this is going to be fun. And I think it'll be beneficial for everybody in the sport. And again, man, I just want to thank y'all guys, man. And definitely thank you, man, for the support that you're giving us with this auction, man, in Puerto Rico. It's really, really going to make a difference, man, and a huge impact. And I'll be talking to you soon. Don't forget to get in the comments, Mario, and answer some of those people's questions down there. I'm sure there's a lot to learn from you. Like you say, it's always good to have somebody that you can pick some information from. So I know a lot of them be reaching on out to you. And again, man, I'll be talking to you soon. I'll be calling you, and I'll talk to you soon. Greatly appreciate it, man. You have a great evening. Always stay focused, stay positive, and stay blessed. And we'll see y'all guys next time.
Thank you, Jim. It was an honor.
Thank you. Have a good night, brother.
Bye-bye.